low power. Yeah, very simple to understand. They're actually not even wired with a relay because they're so low power. Each one only draws 1 amp. They're just wired into a switch, directly into the switch. Why can you do that? Well, you can do that because that switch is actually rated at 16 amps. I think it's rated at 16 amps. Anyways, it's definitely over 2 amps. I know that for sure. The switch is also lit, and the switch is wired into the system, so it only gets current when you got your lights on. That's a legal requirement in this country, and I think in most anyway. So these can only be on if your headlights are on. I can't. Actually, these can be on as long as my presence lights are on. I don't need the headlights on. I can turn the headlights off and run only LEDs, which works out kind of well too, because then you can drive low power, low drain. So what else is new is this guy here. It's not mounted very well. I have to put a steel plate on the back of here, but let's see if the camera can get that. That is a Flex-a-lite. I forget the whole name, but it's a Flex-a-lite digital variable fan controller. And what I've done is I've removed the two factory relays in the radiator. This was a simple switch sensor, so all I do is turn on, turn off, and it would turn on, off the factory relays. So I've got some adapters from England. I forget the name, but it's some antique adapters or custom car adapters. They're in England, so they did that. The inside I had to tap out to make it work with the American style sensor, but it's really nice because that sensor sits right inside the water channel. It gets to about here, so it's sensing the temperature really good. That runs back, plugs into the Flex-a-lite controller. It's actually running 4 fans, so we're running the factory fan in the back, which is a pull through. And as you can see, my intercooler, let's see if we can see it in there. The intercooler's right behind the factory fan, right in front of the factory fan. There's no shrouding. I should do something about the shrouding and stuff like that, but just put more fans on. Amazing. And then I'm also underneath running 2 8-inch Revotec. I think they're Revotec or Spal. Anyway, they're a name brand. They're not no name. And it's running all of them. It's capable of pulling 40 amps. The controller is capable of 40 amps. The back controller is 20 amps, and each of the other fans on the front pull about 7 amps, so I'm running about 35 amps, so I'm right near the stress of the controller. But as long as you're under. These are for switching some stuff here, and I'll show you that in a second. Other updates are, well, I painted the intake manifold. Boring. I took the factory harness for the hand remote for the winch, and I put it up here through the grill, and it has a plastic weather cap, so she's okay there. And I wired it up into there with like some connectors. Just move some wires around in here, so that's nothing new. I'm running an Optima battery, working out well. I can't give you any part numbers on the alternator, but I've changed the alternator to a 120 amp alternator, which just fits in before it hits the oil filter. So somebody's going to bang their knuckles when they're changing my oil filter, but it's not going to be me. Maybe, anyway. Any other updates? No, nothing inside of here. I've still got a Revotec controller in here, a variable controller in here, and that's got to come out. I just have to find the factory piece that bolts into here that holds this tube in place, but I haven't found it yet. But that's not connected to anything. Anything else new here? No. So, sorry, I have a cold. It's a change of weather. So here's how I have the Flex-a-lite wired. Let me see. The camera can adjust. So, in this position, this is the arm. The Flex-a-lite. What I mean by arm is that in this position, the Flex-a-lite controller just does its job. It hits when the motor hits a certain temperature, it starts the fans at 60%, and then as the motor temperature climbs, the controller maxes out to 100% on the fans. I have it set so it starts just before I hit middle temperature on my gauge, and it hits 100% by the middle of the gauge. So what do these do? These are hooked into those wires that were in the controller. So this arms it. So this switch arms this switch. And what I can do is I can force the fans to 100%, or I can force the fans to 0%. And what you want that for is I can do 0 if I'm doing a water crossing and I don't want to pull all the weeds into my fan. And I can do 100%, so if I know I'm going to drop down low gear and do a blast through up a hill or something like that, I can tell the fans, I want you on because I know I'm going to stress out my motor. And this motor wasn't designed for how much power I'm putting through it, so this is a good, it stops the system from getting heat shock. And the, of course, the thermostat will take care of the regulation of hot and cold water. So the water coming out of the rad will be nice and cool when the thermostat opens up, or if it's already opened up. The system's already running, so there's no thermal shock, and I don't have to run hot water through the radiator, waiting for the original on-off style switch of the original system. So this works very well, and I can turn that off. I just leave them both in leave them both up. The light doesn't come on because I just couldn't find a switch that was 12 volts that was like this. So this is kind of nice. So I've got this nice fan. Force it on, force it off. It doesn't matter what this. If this is here, it doesn't matter the position of this switch. This can be up or down. It just doesn't matter. But there, basically, this switch is disconnected. That's just. I couldn't. Another way to do this would be a momentary, where you'd have a switch that has a 3 position, so off in the middle, on, off in the middle, on the top. But like this, there's no accidentally. You know, it's. I guess you could hit that with your knee, but it's nice and small. Most of the momentaries I saw were pretty big, so I don't want something I can hit with my knee. And then the fog lights, and we're good to go. Anything else? Nope, that's it.